I'm recording. Yeah, I think we're good. I think we're good to go.
All right.
All right, and we're off. What episode is this? Fuck, I'm on a new computer. I don't know. I think it's
Oh
just
God.
five or six.
Let's not be canonical unless we want to, in case we want to chop it up later.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, who cares? It's another episode.
We'll use the veil of illusion and stagecraft.
Yeah,
It could be any episode. It could be today. If you're listening, hey, I'm right here with you right now.
right.
That's the beauty of podcasting.
And what are we talking about today? You got the floor. We got some Japanese stuff, it looks like, I'm assuming.
Uh, so you've been covering a couple Japanese characters. I actually wanted to cover one of my favorite Chinese
Oh,
characters.
okay.
Um, I love ancient Chinese culture. It's so interesting. Um, so we're going to talk about one of my favorites, Zhuge Liang.
Okay.
And he is from what they call the Three Kingdoms period in China. So Three Kingdoms is from about 200 CE to 300 CE, so about a 100-year span. Um, and this is generally where China sets its kind of like romantic medieval period stuff, in the same way that when I'm talking about a knight, I mean like a King Arthur times knight. You just have this idea of the fantasy of you understand the time period that I'm aiming for. Um, that's what the Three Kingdoms period is for China. Um, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms is a very popular um, historical drama, but also it's trope that they reuse over and over because it is such a cool established history. Um,
Oh, okay.
but while we're talking about that, it's also romanticized a lot. So some of the stuff that I'm talking about will be a little in the realm of fantasy, but it also kind of serves to give you a good idea of the person in a condensed form.
Okay.
Um, like the story about George Washington cutting down a cherry tree. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
So, the whole deal of it is he cut down a tree and he told his father about it because he said, I cannot tell a lie. Honestly, George Washington probably didn't cut down a cherry tree. That story probably never happened. But we keep telling it because it does illustrate who he was as a person. So, with that, we're going to get into talking about Zhuge Liang. Um, we've been talking a lot about people that write books. Zhuge Liang was a prolific writer. And if you're interested in reading The Art of War, maybe skip that entirely and read Zhuge Liang's Mastering the Art of War.
Oh, yeah. Was that him
We're
one
just a,
upping Sun Tzu?
we're just a whole step past the Art of
Ah,
War. Now we're
nice.
mastering the Art of War. This is the advanced course.
Gotcha.
So
He's like, once you meditate on Sun Tzu's for a couple hundred years, then you get to the good stuff.
he's also credited with a book called The 36 Strategies,
Oh, okay.
um, which is just another one of those of military strategies.
Is
Um,
that a strategy for one strategy for every week of the year?
pretty much, pretty much, because you gotta remain versatile. Um, so as a kid, Zhuge Liang was an orphan who got raised by his cousin. Um, as he was getting a little older, he was a really good student. That is something that we know from the beginning about him is people around him said, this kid's smart. Something else that they said about this kid is lazy. Um, which I love. Like hanging out with some of his friends, people would be like, "Man, Zhuge Liang's so arrogant. He's lazy and he's not even that smart." And people, even if they didn't like him, they'd be like, "Hey, Zhuge Liang is that smart.
Hmm.
Like he's still a lazy piece of shit, but
What was
no."
lazy about him? Like schoolwork
So,
or?
well, no, not really, because he liked to do schoolwork. They described him as being like traveling like a peasant, because like when he was like 18, 19, 20, he didn't want to go into like government service of being like a clerk. He traveled around and he like talked to different people, traveled to different cities, and saw different writings and stuff from different cities.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, Something like there was a description of him of like somebody's like he sits around with his arms hanging down and sighing all day. And I'm like, oh, that's such a mood.
Yeah.
I'm like, ah, I don't want to get a job, but I should do something. Ah, I don't know. I just love the characterization, and you just he feels so modern to me in a lot of the ways that he acts.
Yeah.
Um,
Like if he had a
so
smartphone, he'd definitely be going on Twitter.
yeah, he would probably be one of those dudes that has like he'd be like Frank Ocean. He'd be like, "There's so many fans," and he's like, ugh, "You like this? Ugh, whatever. I may put out a banger, I may not."
More like Andre 3000 right now. Oh, rap album? Hey, check out this piccolo solo though, or whatever the hell.
I love that man. Yeah,
Oh
I heard
yeah.
I heard that he had a whole flute album.
Dude, I honestly gave it a shot. I was like, oh
Yeah.
well, this guy I have a lot of respect for. Maybe he's onto something. I really
Uh-huh.
gave it like an honest like listen to. And I was like, okay, I cannot listen to this shit for
Well,
the
what
like
is it?
it's like repetitive flute music to me. It's just a bunch of, but it's like real repetitive and like not a lot of nuance to it. I don't know. It all sounds a lot of samey to me. I don't know. I don't really I don't get it.
I mean, we're not flute guys.
Yeah, that too. But I mean, like, I respect it or whatever. But it's just like, yeah, no, this isn't for. That's definitely not for me.
Could it be one of those things that's like technically, like skill wise, like, oh man, that's really impressive. But
Yeah, I'm
like
not even sure
for
about that.
us, like,
Yeah, I'm not sure.
well, okay, so that's definitely not Kong Ming. Kong Ming is going to be his courtesy name. Um, and something else that we were talking about when we were talking about Japan, right? Um, you get a later name when you're an adult.
Hmm. Okay. Oh yeah, they
Um,
do that in China
so
too.
yes, I
Hmm.
think
Okay.
that tradition originates in China and was carried to Japan.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I didn't know
Uh,
that.
yeah. Um,
So yeah, so he was
so
a,
when
what was his original name translated to? Like, what was the crazy? Do you know?
No, I don't think they had. I don't think it was one of those of like, do you give your kid an ugly name to ward off spirits? I think it was just one of those of
Oh,
like, Tommy,
okay,
and then
okay.
and then I think that the courtesy name is more of like, you know, it's more related to your profession and business. Like,
It's like your spirit animal.
no, I think it's more of like a business name almost of
Gotcha.
like,
Okay.
don't call me my personal name.
It's your
You can call
LLC.
me, yeah, like my business corporation
Go
is
like
Kong
this, by the
Ming.
way. It's bugging me. Yeah, there you go.
Thank you for helping me with the tech.
That's
Um,
the
but
equivalent of turning it off and on.
yeah, I'm too old for that. I'm just, how does this work? So I was trying to look up and see if there was some meaning to it. Um, and I do think it's very funny that the meaning of Kong Ming, oh God,
Coming.
where was Kong or Kong Ming?
Oh, okay. It's like, hey, yo, the meaning of coming. I can tell you that. The fuck?
But
They didn't
but
know,
no.
but they knew.
So when I was looking it up, it the definition was like a vacuous person, somebody that's self-important, and I was like, oh, so if you call somebody in China Kong Ming, it's the same thing as calling them like Einstein or Sherlock.
Oh, yeah.
I
That's
was like,
awesome.
wait, what is? So I do think that that's funny. That's like just a very human thing of like, oh, you think you're smart? Way to go, smart person.
Yeah.
Like,
Some people can get
so
away with that stuff too, and some people just can't.
yeah. Well, the difference is like, can you get results?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
you
if he's
know,
actually smart.
that's the thing.
It's
Yeah,
so
no,
many
he
people
is.
that try to portray themselves as smart that like actually aren't, that like kind of smear the whole thing, that like ruin it for a lot of other people too.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of his attitude too, of like, I don't want to hang out with these like pseudo intellectuals. I want to be out with the people and like seeing how the world really works, you
Oh yeah.
know? Um, and so he kind of comes out onto the scene when he meets Liu Bei. So Liu Bei is a warlord of the Shu province. So if you want to go ahead and pull up the Three Kingdoms map,
Gotcha. Oh.
that's just another image of that's a stylized image
Hmm.
of him.
That's him in fuck, what's the hack and slash?
Dynasty Warriors.
Dynasty Warriors. Yeah,
I
that's what
don't
I
I
immediately
don't
thought of.
I think that that's just a fan image. Um, but I do
Yeah.
have a Dynasty Warriors image in there.
Because, dude, Dynasty
Somehow,
Warriors was actually, that was like one of the things that I liked about it is how they actually did try to like portray historical events a little bit. I thought it was one of the first games I'd ever saw that like portrayed his or Chinese historical battles. I don't know why that was so hard to fucking get out, but yeah, so it made it more interesting.
no, I'm with you. I think Dynasty Warriors is honestly kind of the genesis of why we're even talking about this today.
Well, and Age of
Uh,
Empires too was like the
it-
precursor to it. That was like the first game that really got me interested in history, and then like Assassin's Creed did it a little bit, even though it was very loosely based compared to those two games. But
yeah, but what I love about the Dynasty Warrior series is there is like magic and mysticism in
yeah,
the history of the Three Kingdoms, you know. Um, so it is one of those of like, no, that's not too crazy that Lu Bu can jump up and like fire 1,000 magic golden spears from the air. It's like, no, some of the stuff was pretty crazy when you look at it.
yeah.
Uh, so when he comes onto the scene, uh, the warlord of Shu down in the bottom left over there, um, he was asking around, and ran into this hermit called Sima Hu, and the hermit basically said to him, "What do Confucian academics and common scholars know about current affairs? Only outstanding talents have the best understanding of current affairs. In this region, there are two such talents, Crouching Dragon and Young Phoenix."
Hmm.
When Liu Bei asked him who Crouching Dragon and Young Phoenix were, Sima Hu replied, Zhuge Gongming and Peng Shi Huang. Now, I'm not familiar with Peng Shiwan, so we won't be talking about him. But yeah, Crouching Dragon is a hell of a nickname. You know, when the warlord comes and asks, like, "Oh, do you have somebody that you would recommend to help me out?" But all those advisors suck. You need Crouching Dragon.
Yeah.
And even later on, when he would be like semi-retired, his nickname changed to the Sleeping Dragon,
Oh, that's awesome.
which is just hard as hell, dude.
Yeah. Again, that way they're like someone's like coming up to him, they're like, "Oh yeah, are you Crouching Dragon?" He's like, "I don't go by that name anymore. I'm the Sleeping Dragon now, boys. I'm retired. You're safe today."
Which again, I think really encapsulates the vibe of Zhuge Liang. Like he's very assured of himself.
Yeah.
Liu Bei actually has to visit him 3 times to convince him to join him, which is like you don't do that, you know? Like, no, he's not like an emperor or anything, but when like the warlord, when the big dude in town comes in and says, "Hey, why don't you join my army as an advisor?" You really don't say no.
Yeah.
Um, so he Liu Bei would later write that he feels like a fish that's found water now that he's found Zhuge Liang, because that's how great. Not only is he an advisor, he's like a statesman. He's a politician. He's an engineer.
Hmm.
One of the most crucial things that he's going to do is actually convince the tribes south of Shu to ally with them so that they can focus all their forces mainly on Wei to the north.
Hmm. And so
Uh,
why are they all fighting? They're all just trying to fight to get control of everything. One person wants control of all of it. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Typical.
So, well, and it's also too of um,
I was
this.
just curious if it was like a religion thing or anything like that.
No, not really a religion thing so much as like this is the most concentrated the territories have ever been. Like 20, 30 years ago, this would have been a dozen kingdoms.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And now it's looking like, oh man, I only have to take 2 kingdoms and I have all of China.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You know, it's just the stakes have risen so high at this point.
Right.
Um,
It's like if I just take one of the one thirds too, it's like I definitely got them then.
yeah, you know, it's everybody's all in, and you know, even if the people in their state aren't allied with them, it's still kind of an us versus them.
Yeah. We got to make the
Uh,
Pac-Man.
exactly. So one of my favorite moments too is Zhuge Liang meets with Sun Quan from Wu. Sun Quan is like one of the princes or one of the main leaders, and they're thinking about allying with uh, Cao Cao from Wei. Does that ring any bells, Cao Cao?
Mm-mm.
Okay. A big, big, powerful warlord of Wei. So Zhuge Liang's talking to Wu and saying, I know you're thinking about allying about Wei. If you can't be decisive at a crucial moment, it will be no time until you meet with disaster. And then walked away.
Okay.
So he's always doing like these like dropping wisdom on people and being like mysterious and then being like, all right, but whatever. I'm gonna give you a little prophecy about what's gonna happen here, and then we'll see how it goes for you.
Yeah.
Um, just to briefly note too, you know, statesman, politician, also an engineer. So he is credited with creating what they call the wooden ox, which is
Okay.
their version of a wheelbarrow. So go
Oh,
ahead and
okay.
show the. I posted the picture up there.
Oh, that's what that is. That's funny from afar. I thought it was like some kind of loom or whatever, like a spinning wheel
right?
set up. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't understand
I don't get what the
exactly
thing on
what
the front is.
I think it's a little ox head.
Yeah, I'm like, is that just for decoration? Or is that like have an actual purpose? Crazy.
Yeah, I don't
How do the legs
quite
on the front not get in the way?
yeah, no,
Is this just for
you
maybe
know,
that's maybe the legs are just for display purpose? You know what I'm
could
saying?
be. Yeah.
I don't, but it's crazy because I swear to God that looks like it's the same exact wood and everything. Like it looks like it's a part of it.
So surprisingly, wheelbarrows, like we didn't invent wheelbarrows in the West until like, man, I want to say like 1200.
Hmm,
You would be surprised how like people just did not figure shit out.
crazy. So the first guy that invented a wheelbarrow made a killing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like the first guy that made the plow.
Yeah. Just what are you doing?
Like
It's
what?
like just wait. You're gonna love this.
Yeah.
You may not get it, but your kids are gonna love it.
And that's one of those things old people it's like, oh well you get a better yield on your seeds if you plow it by hand and what technology these days, kids and their plows, insanity.
Kids in their
You got to get out
plows.
there with your hose. What are we going to do with all these hose if we start making plows? What the fuck?
The hoe industry is gonna go out of business. The whole hoe industry.
Jesus Christ. Wheelbarrows? That's what they're thinking of next? What the fuck?
But then here's something everyone loved. His next invention was the repeating crossbow,
Oh
which I
yeah.
think is the coolest fucking thing. The Chinese repeating crossbow.
That's like the first revolver.
And, so one big thing about these is you're not getting a ton of power. You
Yeah.
know, if there was armor, you're not really getting through it. But, you got a whole face, and I get 4 or 5 arrows.
Dude, and it's intimidating as fuck.
Yeah. Whereas,
Because in your head, you're like, this guy's got to like pull the arrow and then string it and then do that, right? As opposed to like, don't they just like, or like put it in their gut and you can like do it like that? Isn't it like that
yeah,
fast,
I
pretty
think
much?
I
Or all
think
the way
what it is,
forward?
yeah, I think you would go forward and then pull it back.
Yeah. And then boom, you're fucking ready
But
to
yeah,
go
you
again. Because the
basically
arrows are
increase.
all inside of it already, right?
Yes, and I
Yeah.
and some versions of it you'll see them in basically like a clip, where it's like a
Yeah.
single piece of wood with notches that as you go down,
Dude, and even if you had armor on and it didn't like penetrate, even if you had like a helmet, I bet that shit would still hurt so bad.
you know, I'm down to fight, but like when I start seeing arrows in me, that's not cool.
Yeah.
I'm not as jazzed about the whole fighting thing. I may want to hang back a little, actually.
Especially if there's like 100 people shooting those things at you. It's fucking
Yeah,
rapid fire arrows. It's like shooting down at you while you're trying to break in somewhere. That'd
but you need
probably
a lot of
be
arrows.
good for like close quarters too. Way better than a bow where you need all that room to draw and everything.
Oh yeah, you're just carrying it around loaded.
You could get probably like more archers in a row, maybe. Interesting.
But yeah, so he's credited with that. And what was the next one?
The lanterns, he made these?
He's credited with a form of lantern as like one of the earliest uses of like signals in battle.
Ah, okay. That's
I,
cool.
but they call it the Kongming lantern.
Huh. Interesting. That's
So
cool.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
and
one of
then
those things
the
that's like one lantern means this, two lanterns means this.
yeah, first dude to figure that out, and everybody was like, "Oh, why didn't I think of that?"
Yeah.
Because you're not the crouching dragon.
Because then too, like they're like, what the fuck is he telling them? What do they know? Oh my god, two fucking lanterns. Fuck.
And that was part of it too. You know, he was the type of guy that would tell you like, "Oh, well, one lantern means retreat and two lanterns means attack." And then he would be like, "Send up the retreat lantern and then go attack."
Yeah.
Psychological warfare.
Hell yeah. The reverse Uno card. Did he make Uno too?
He made Uno. He
Awesome.
okay, if Uno existed, he would have introduced like the draw four and the reverse card. He
Yeah,
would have been like, Uno's cool and all, but check this out.
right. You want to break some generational bonds? Draw four cards, guys. That's how we test people. Dude, the videos
So
of little kids getting hit with a draw four card and crying will never not make. Children in pain is not funny at all, but children in pain playing Uno is the most hysterical thing ever to me. The draw four of dread, because we've all been there too. That's like a feeling that everyone can. As long as you've played Uno, everyone knows that existential dread.
well, you gotta learn it one day, right?
Yeah.
I love the ones where it is like the kid's first time playing Uno. It's just like, this can happen to me. Like, that's life, kid. Welcome to it.
They hit him with that, and then they hit the skip turn, and then they do the draw four again on him. He's just bawling. Again, another draw four. The best is when they wait till he has one card left, and then they start, and the guy's just been waiting the whole time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, time to teach you a life lesson, kid."
You know, I fully believe that you do not need to let kids win every time. Kids need to learn to lose like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You
That was me with
you have to play
Monopoly, dude. I
oh,
stayed
yeah?
over at an auntie's house, and all my relatives always let me win everything. And like my grandma let me win Monopoly all the time. And my fucking aunt swept the board in Monopoly, and I bawled like a little baby. And I'll never forget. It was a really good life lesson. She was like, "If you can't lose without crying, we can't play Monopoly anymore." I was like, "I've never fucking lost before. I can't believe you're doing this. What do you mean?"
Yeah, but then you also had that like, but but no, I want to play more Monopoly.
Right.
It's
I
like,
think
no,
I got
stop trying.
I think I got done eventually. I was like, yeah, no, I'm done with this. This is bullshit. You're cheating.
I do think you gotta throw the kid a bone. Like, don't run him into the six Monopoly game wins in a row. Now we're getting cruel.
Right. No, it was a good lesson though.
So something that's interesting too is so like Zhuge Liang was an administrator
For
um
what? For who?
and uh for the Shu kingdom.
What? Like
So
damn. I can't I was gonna say pay less, like pay less? The Shoe
no, no,
Kingdom?
no, he was like a governor.
Oh, okay.
He would, but like he was so good that he would get moved around. He would be like,
Uh
they took over this territory,
he's like the
you go
accountant.
be governor, the accountant, and like deal with these people.
Right. Like I need you
And
to go
there's a
over here and
story,
fix the fucking books, dude.
yeah. But like, so there was a story of he got sent to a province that they recently had issues with rebellion in, and they taken over. And he came in and was like, "We're going hardcore law and order. Everybody's going to start following the laws, and we're cracking down on crime anywhere we see it." And everybody else was like, "Hey, man, we just got here. Maybe we should do a soft touch and take it easy on the people." And Kong Ming was like, "No, these people have been through a lot of shit. What they want is law and order restored immediately. The faster that we get everything going straight back to normal, everybody working the same, the better this is going to be."
Yeah.
Um, and
Hmm.
just that's something that he brought, being like really insightful about like what is going to get the common people on our side and get them working with us.
And so that's how he got the tribes to the south to help him out like he wanted.
Partially, yeah, and I think a big part of it was him coming to them as whatever role he was occupying with the government, he'd be like prime minister at some points. So him showing up to them and treating them with respect was a big issue
Yeah. Okay.
because a lot of people would send like, you know, this is my like third cousin. He's 15 and he's going to deal with you guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, I mean, I get it. We're a small little tribe, but we've got our honor and respect. Zhuge Liang coming to them was like, oh, okay, I've heard about you and I respect you.
Right.
Um, so we're just going to cover a couple of cool stories about Zhuge Liang. Um, so we were talking about those little repeating crossbows. Those probably use a lot of arrows, right? So one
Yeah.
time he was in charge of a garrison, and the commander was telling him like, "Hey, we don't have the arrows to hold out on a siege.
Mm,
We won't be able to stand up. We're gonna have to do something like abandon the fortress."
right.
And Zhuge Liang says, "Absolutely not. What if I can get you 100,000 arrows in 3 days?"
Oh hell
And the
yeah.
guy's like, that's not physically possible. I've collected all the resources in this area, and I know we could make like a few thousand arrows before they attack at best.
Mm-hmm.
So Zhuge Liang has a brilliant strategy that will later be called, and I don't want to ruin the surprise, but it's called borrowing arrows with straw boats.
Borrowing arrows with straw
With
boats.
straw boats.
Okay.
So if you go to the next picture, after his inventions, oh, he also invented a type of bun.
Oh, cool.
That's yeah.
That's funny. I thought that was like garlic or something, or like onions or something. I didn't realize that was a steamed bun.
Yeah, he's also credited with the Baozai bun.
So he was cooking too, dog.
Bro, you gotta be cool as fuck to get a dumpling named after you.
Bro, so he
I feel like
got.
that's a big deal.
It's like he helped everybody out. He's like, okay, wheelbarrow for the common man, a crossbow for the military. We got lanterns for everyday people, and then boom, and then fucking food, because I'm a chef too, bitch. I do it all, motherfucker.
Everybody.
Buns, bitch. Holy fuck nuggets. What the hell's going on here?
So,
Did he invent acupuncture too for boats? Is that what I'm saying?
so early in the morning, what he did, he would cover these boats in thick straw bales. And you can go to the next picture to see kind of a better idea of like, you know, they're super thick tied bundles of straw. You would
Interesting.
sail these boats in early in the morning in the fog. So the enemy can't really see anything except the shapes on the water.
No way.
And so they just start unloading arrows into it because you don't want any mysterious boats coming out of the water. And then he would just pull them back.
Holy shit, that's genius, dude. That is epic as
Like,
fuck.
oh, you need arrows? I got you, man.
Dude, that's so cool. He's like, man, I'm such a smart guy. Look, I'm gonna make the enemy give us arrows, bro. Watch this. I bet you $20 I can get some arrows from the enemy.
Oh, you don't have supplies? Fucking idiots, dude. All right, let me show you how war works. Watch this. Just go take their arrows.
It's like, well, you never
They've
been
got
fishing
arrows.
for arrows before, buddy?
And so in Chinese, his strategy, borrowing arrows with straw boats, is like the saying, using your enemy's strength against them.
Okay.
Mm. Which again Like when you make a strategy and people are like, "Oh, that's so good. I'm going to use that in my everyday life," as a saying,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
you know.
That's awesome.
Um, so
Dude, that is
I
so
don't,
sick. I can't get over that. That is one of the coolest things ever.
right? That's what I love about him too, because he's always like the smartest dude.
That's
Which
so
again,
sick.
it's like romanticized, but again, I just love the character of being
Yeah.
like, nah, I'm not gonna like build a bunch of arrows and like conscript the whole town to make arrows. I'm gonna wrap some boats up with straw and I'm just gonna go steal their arrows.
And that's how you get famous.
And that's how you get famous.
Cuz
That's how you get a
too,
fun
he was like with all his buddies, he's like, yeah, this dumbass general thinks he's so smart. He doesn't think I can get fucking arrows, dude. Watch this, dude. Everybody, come watch this meeting. Check this out.
yeah.
And then everyone's
And
probably like on the shore, like watching him like build a boat and stuff. They're like, "What the fuck is this crazy dude on about? What is it? What strapping hay to it? What?" He's like, "All right, now push it out." You know, and everyone's like,
right in the
"Oh my god, he's a fucking genius! What the fuck?"
and also too there were like five other like imperial, magistrate type people being like, he's wasting resources. He's
Yeah,
a fool. And he's like, all right, dudes, whatever. Build my little boats.
yeah. That's like the people
Uh,
that like went sailing and had to ask like the king for stuff, and then they come back and they're like, "Oh, that was a wasted trip. It took you a year." And they're like, "Yeah, but check out all these spices you've never tried before." They're like,
right.
"Ooh, that you okay? Maybe
Actually,
you're onto something."
let him cook.
Yeah,
Dumpling?
right. Yeah.
Um, and so we're covering like these were stories told about him of like um kind of like people telling these stories about him after his passing of like these are five of the cool things that Zhuge Liang did that like really established him.
Hmm.
So one time he was holding a mountain pass, and the way it's a narrow mountain pass. You have like 20% of your soldiers garrisoning the top part, and you have them rotate out with the rest of your army. And when the guys up top are done, you let them go home for a little, leave. So the enemy showed up, and all of the soldiers get called up to the mountain. And Zhuge Liang looks at these dudes that were about to go on leave, and he says, "You guys can go." And all his generals were like, "Oh, no, they can't. No, they fucking can't. We need everybody on deck for the battle." And Zhuge Liang is like, "I made an agreement with these men, and their wives and children have been waiting for them to come at this certain day. So they're
Hmm.
going to be allowed to go back and see their family."
Hmm.
And all the soldiers were like, "Oh, that's really cool. I'm actually down to fight for you now because you care about my life. You're not going to like throw my life away in a useless battle.
Yeah.
I'm I'm going to fight for Zhuge Liang now."
Oh hell yeah.
And so that was like, one of his one of the like recurring things is he treats his troops good so that they fight for him. And almost like, I'm not doing this to be nice. It's the like human psychology of, if I treat these guys better, they'll fight better.
Right.
Um,
And invented a new weapon for him and everything. That's sick.
yeah. Um, okay. This is my favorite one because it's my favorite trope in general. Like, have you heard about that? Like, you know, if you knew when an eclipse was coming, like some of the people that settled in the New World, like tricked the natives into thinking they were gods.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zhuge Liang is in this particular part of China, and he he's familiar with this area, and he even says something to the effect of like the average farmer in this area would know when like the pressure drops, the winds are going to change from this direction over here to this direction over here.
Okay.
So he builds a big fire and he starts chanting. And he's doing this like on a hilltop beside the battle where everybody can see it. So he's doing this big bonfire with lots of smoke. And then all of a sudden, as the pressure drops and the wind changes, the smoke starts going over the enemy camp.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's heard of this master mystic general, Zhuge Liang, and they're afraid that he's casting a curse on them. So they run away.
Oh hell yeah.
So, so he builds up a fire and he knows he's like, dude, the farmers in this area. You could ask Joe Schmo off the street, and he'd tell you, yeah, when the rains come, the wind starts blowing south.
Yeah.
But the enemies that were from a different area that were traveling here didn't know that. So he managed to like wipe or stop like a whole army with a bonfire and a little meteorology.
Right. He pulled like the original Wizard of Oz on him.
Yeah,
He was the man
exactly.
behind the
Yeah.
curtain on them.
They were like, well, he's got to be a wizard. He made the smoke come at us.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, if you were walking down the street and you saw like a wizard looking homeless guy in front of a fire and he did this and the smoke started coming right at you,
Yeah.
you'd be freaked out.
Right.
You'd be freaked out, you know, especially if he started chanting.
Yeah.
And so
The Professor X
obviously,
chant, "You mo gui gui fi mi zao."
I think exactly that actually.
That's where it originated from.
Quite possibly, yes. Uh, but I think that's my favorite one too, because like any time that you can establish yourself as a dark wizard, like you just don't get that option of
Shadow
like
Wizard Money Gang.
it's like, hey, you remember that time I used my wizard powers to stop a battle? I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I guess I gotta respect you for that.
That's one of those movies like, you're such a dick, bro. You didn't even do anything.
Or did I do everything?
Yeah.
And then so the greatest story of Zhuge Liang, and you needed to hear those other stories first, right?
Okay.
The greatest story is his open fortress plan.
Ooh, okay.
So one day, he and his troops were tracked down by a much larger army. He had a few thousand men facing an army of tens of thousands of men. He was held up in a small fortress, and he looked at his guys and was like, we can't win this fight. I want all of you guys to pack up and head out the back door. And Zhuge Liang opens the gates, opens the front gates of the fortress, and he climbs up onto the top of the fortress. And depending on who you're listening to, he's either playing a flute and obviously playing Andre 3000's new album,
Yeah.
uh, or he's playing like a zither, like a guitar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So the enemy comes up to the gates and they've got pretty damn good intel where they know he's only got so many forces. He's trapped in this fortress. We've got him. And they come up to the fortress and they see the door open and Zhuge Liang perched on top of the gate, casually playing music. And the generals stop and they look at each other And they go, "It's got to be a trap, right? This is the genius dark wizard Zhuge Liang. It's got to be a trap, right?" He's like, "But we factually know how many men he has. We chased him here. He can't have that many. We just go in there and kill him. It's that easy." They end up sitting there all day trying to figure out how he set up a trap for them. And at the end of the day, they decide to walk away.
What?
They're like, it's got to be a trap. They don't know how, but Zhuge Liang wouldn't just leave the doors open and invite us in. It's got to be a trap.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. The ultimate bluff.
The ultimate bluff, but one that was only possible because of the crazy shit he had done in the past.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just some random person up there. Otherwise, they would have just gone for it. It was the fact that Zhuge Liang was so crafty
Yeah.
and such a genius that they were like, it's got to be a trap. I'm not gonna walk into a trap.
Yeah.
I'm leaving.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then finally, there's differing accounts, but we're gonna go with the coolest one. Um, when he passed, um, they say Zhuge Liang vomited blood in frustration when his army ran out of supplies during a stalemate. So he ordered his troops to burn down the camp and retreat.
Okay.
And um, obviously, people followed after the army, but there was like a common joke of even a dead Zhuge Liang makes the enemies afraid. Because like the enemies would come in and be like, "Hey, is it true Zhuge Liang is dead?" "Yeah, all right, let's go get him." And they were like, "You're still afraid of Zhuge Liang, even though he's dead."
Yeah.
Looking over your shoulder, being like, "But for real?" And
So how did he
that's
die
really
though?
he got sick.
Oh, okay.
The other ones are like he got sick and died in a local house.
Hmm.
Um, but with all of that coolness, with all of those stories and the psychological, I think he would definitely want his like last moments to be like, "I'm frustrated that everyone fails me and doesn't allow me to be fucking cool. If
Yeah.
only everybody was like me, I would have kept conquering everything."
He's like, now I'm
But
gonna die because I went swimming casually once and got a little water in my mouth when men were
that is
men.
that's that's exactly how you die.
Yeah. Like, oh, now I got
But
diphtheria.
but yeah, that was my little bit about Zhuge Liang.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was good. That was really interesting. Dude, the boat part was my favorite. That's epic.
The strategies he came up with are so crazy.
Just so many bits I could write about that. There's
I
so
it
many ways that you could like chop that up and like as a way to present it and stuff. Like these idiots don't think I can get 100,000 arrows in 3 days. Fucking morons.
Yeah, or also too of like actually I figured this out a couple years ago, but the situation hasn't come up. Oh, I'm ready, dude. You
Right.
bet. Oh, I don't know. Let me just think
The
about it.
general's like, well, you can't even get enough people together to manufacture. Well, you can't even get that many people together to manufacture that many arrows in 3 days. That's what I like. Oh yeah, shut up, stupid.
Shut
Build
up.
boats now. How much straw we got laying around here? God damn it. Let me show you a thing or two. I wish I could see what these. Oh, there's one more picture too. We didn't look. Oh, okay. Is this one?
There wasn't really a good picture of him like summoning the winds. It's just another Dynasty Warriors picture.
I wish I could see these little cartoon caricatures better too. I'd
Right.
be interested to see.
Oh, and I never gave you the description. So we've got one sentence to describe him. Zhuge Liang was 6 foot tall and magnificent.
That's awesome. He does look
And
pretty magnificent in his portrayals.
and then so he's known for his
He doesn't look like a
the
nerd.
feather fan, and then his little hat. It's made out of kudzu fabric.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. I think that picture of him in the wheelchair is one of the most contemporary drawings of him, but we don't really have any pictures of him. Something interesting too is it was kind of a common thing. If you lost a big battle, you'd like take a demotion, and it was really shameful.
Mm.
Zhuge Liang was like, "Yeah, give me the demotion, but I'm gonna have to go over here because there's rebels over here. So like, forward my demotion to the next city I'm in."
it's, it's like the biggest I don't give a fuck actually though.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, I'm way past like being in the government um hierarchy.
Yeah.
I'm Zhuge Liang. I go where I'm needed and I do what I want.
Right. That's awesome.